football, the beautiful game, celebrated across the globe, watched by billions, supported by brands in their hundreds. But the game of the people has been dominated by just one half, the male half, men's football, until now. This Women's World Cup is set to be the most high profile yet. And brands like Visa, Budweiser, Lucozade and Mars are waking up to the opportunities around the women's game and engaging every fan, every player and every grassroots dreamer. But beyond the hype, are these brands really committed to bridging the gap? What happens at the end of this tournament when the final whistle blows? Because it's everybody's beautiful game.
Women's football is growing massively, especially actually in the last 6 months. I've seen it grow more than I've seen probably in the last 10 years of my career. I think the audiences are growing. If you look at in Juventus, they sold out their stadium, in Barcelona the same thing. I think participation is also growing massively, and that can be seen in all the data that the federations are putting out. Clubs are getting more young girls coming and knocking on their door for more teams, and that's also globally. I think brands are really waking up to the opportunity of the women's game, and I think if you think about, from an investor's point of view, where would you want to invest your money is where you're going to get biggest growth. And I think the biggest growth in football right now is on the women's side. So I think that brands are waking up to that opportunity. And when you think about ROI as a brand, it's not just in dollars or in pounds. It's also in the social equity that you get back from the game. And let's take Visa, for example. He's saying that actually he's never had such positive feedback from any investment they've ever made. And I think that's a really strong statement. So all the positive sentiment that is created from having the investment into the women's game that is aligned with a lot of the similar brand values that most brands have, I think is really powerful.
One, I can make it. One, this is my team.
I believe that women's football is one of those cases in which a business or a brand can do well financially, doing well by doing good. You're doing something good, which is developing and supporting women's football, and as a result, you're going to do well as a company. Speaking of Visa, there's a very clear alignment between who we are as a company and our own beliefs about diversity, inclusion, equality, acceptance, and again, what we can play here. If we are about acceptance and diversity, we can help raise the profile of women's football and therefore be more accepted, more embraced by more people globally. There's going to be a clear difference between brands that just are rated in a way versus brands that are genuinely associated with this. You cannot be standing behind women's football if you don't truly believe in bridging the gap. It made the association with women's football such a natural move versus an opportunistic one.
As the women's game's growing, more media and attention is coming to it, and I think that's all credit to how well the Lionesses have done in major tournaments and how we've had to push ourselves as players and be good role models within the media world. But I think the fact that media brands, like Lucozade Sport, Disney, Boots, are all part of the Lionesses, it's only going to make things better that they're increasing participation and putting on a massive social media platform to lots of girls all around to see. I mean, you look at the Premier League and how Barclays has such a big impact, and obviously Barclays have now took over the Women's Super League, which is obviously a big investment, and I think the more that we provide money into grassroots football, the development of the women's game, it's only going to allow young girls to start a professional lifestyle from a very young age, and that's the only way that the women's game is going to develop, but also that it's going to be exciting to watch because, naturally in any place of work, the more you train or work hard at it, you're going to be a better player and better at your job. And I think over the last few years, we've been allowed that opportunity to showcase how hard we've been working and now, play on a major stage.
So we've just recently embarked on our journey supporting the Lionesses in a more official capacity. So we've partnered with the FA and therefore the women's team for a number of years. They've been drinking Lucozade Sport. But really felt like this year in the run-up to summer to really make the partnership even bigger and better. Really hope to inspire more women to get into football, and to help them do that we're also offering 90,000 minutes of free pitch time, so working with the likes of Power League and Goals. So it really is about that, inspiring people to get into the game but also giving them the right facilities to be able to do that. The reason why we're seeing such a momentum and such a wave behind women's football is because the broadcasters have got behind it, because the game's in a really good place, and because sponsors are getting involved as well. But for me, the role of sponsors is to support the Lionesses, to support the women's game. So it's not just about having the sponsorship, it's about what you do with it.
Budweiser has a long-standing relationship with football. We've been a sponsor of the FA for many years, and we've been sponsoring the FIFA World Cup for over 25 years. So we believe this is a natural evolvement of our sponsorship within football. I 100% believe Budweiser is ahead of the curve in supporting football, as well as specifically women's football. We believe that the Lionesses are doing a phenomenal job, and they have an amazing success ahead of us, and we're just super excited to support them to victory.
It's a really exciting time because Mars is about to unveil the first ever female footballer's statue in the UK, and we're doing that to honour the great Lily Parr. We felt she's the perfect role model for girls and women across the UK to inspire them to go after their sporting goals.
Lily Parr is the first statue of a woman footballer ever, as far as I understand, and it's recognising her contribution to the game, particularly at a time where women's football is being re-explored. It was banned for many, many years. Before it was banned, after the First World War, it was one of the kind of most popular games in the country, and thousands went to watch women's football. Now it's a totally different picture. It doesn't seem strange that women should be able to play football, have equal opportunity to play football as men. I mean, it seems a bit odd even me saying that. But at the National Football Museum, we want to tell the broad story, and we've got a 50% pledge. So everything we do, we want to represent women in football.
I mean, the Lionesses are third in the world, and there's so much support. I mean, there's more people playing, there's more people watching, and there are more brands investing. That's why when Mars renewed our sponsorship last year, we decided to open our sponsorship to cover the women's team as well as the men's and the disability team too. To have a really relevant and talkable message around women's football, so that we can get the country to back our Lionesses this summer.
I think as footballers, you know, we're all footballers, male and female, and I think it's just having that respect that we do, you know, the same things, we're all dedicated, we all do it for the love of the sport, and I think the main thing is just that people respect how hard we work and how we're just pushing to allow young girls to dream and have a passion in what they love, and I think every opportunity that we can do that to allow, you know, young kids to be excited about being a footballer, you know, I think that's our main aim, to just provide that platform for them.
The biggest risk I see is that people start to believe, okay, we got it, we're there, it's done. It's done because now, yeah, we have record audiences for the Women's World Cup. It's not done, it's not going to be done in 1 year, in 2 or 3 years. That's why we decided to go with this long-term deal agreement with UEFA, 7 years, because we need to plan things with enough perspective and knowing that it's going to take a long time until we get to the right, we help get women's football to its right and deserved place. What happens July 8th, when after the final? Because between now and then there's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of great stories, great things. We know what we're going to do in terms of marketing, but what happens July 8th?
I think it's really, really, really vitally important that people don't just jump on the World Cup this summer on the same bandwagon and promote the hell out of it and then drop it directly after. So when I first came on to Copa 90, it was a long-term strategy of how do we integrate the women's game into football, because women's football is football. It's the same game, it's the same sport. There's just different intricacies and different storytelling around it, but football is an inclusive sport. I mean, anyone can play. You can crush a can and kick it, as we used to do at school. So having a sport that actually is so easy to access physically means that it's the highest participation sport in the world, and yet the media doesn't really reflect that currently.